welcome to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life. My name is Kyle Case, and I'll be your host on this amazing journey as we attempt to help you get the most out of your life. Today's guest, at just 8 years old, Margie Mettenet, survived a devastating car accident that left her in traction for months. Once she learned to walk again, she learned to run, and she didn't stop. Competing in track and junior Olympics, high school, as well as college. Margie also competed in high school basketball and volleyball at BYU, but after college, her 45-year love affair with high-level tennis began. A broken arm 9 years ago changed everything, however. Too painful to hold a tennis racket, Margie picked up a pickleball paddle just to stay active, and she got completely hooked. Now 70, Margie plays every day, holding her own against athletes in their 20s and 30s. She's a 12-year veteran of the Huntsman World Senior Games with 11 medals in basketball, tennis, and of course, pickleball. Margie has coached high school tennis state champions. She has taught at Club Pickleball USA, and she's raised a sports-loving family of 5 kids and 19 grandkids. Margie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm honored to be invited to talk with you because I'm a big fan of the Huntsman Senior Games.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that, and I hope we're going to get a chance to dig into some of the things that you've experienced here at the games. But I do want to rewind the clock just a little bit. I want to talk about that accident at 8 years old. Tell me a little bit about what happened there.
Well, I was driving to Utah. We lived in Santa Barbara, California at the time. We were driving to Utah to get to my grandmother's house, who lives in Bountiful, and my mom fell asleep outside of DeFi, and the car rolled 3 times. And I broke my femur. My brother broke his pelvis. The others had just like broken arms and stuff. But it was devastating for me because I had to be in traction. They had to put a pin through my knee and put me. The old days they did traction. You had to lay in bed and they have weights that pull the bones back. And that was like 6 weeks. And then I had to be in a cast from my waist to my ankle for the rest of the summer. So that was not fun. That was not a fun time.
Oh, it does not sound like fun. And really, what a blessing that everybody was able to survive, right?
Yes.
Banged up, injuries, broken bones, it sounds like, but everybody survived. What a trip of over the river and through the woods to grandmother's
house. Right.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to hear that everybody made it out, and even though there were some challenges that came out of it for sure, being 8 years old and having to lay in bed in traction was, I'm sure, not a fun experience.
No, because my grandma's house has horses, and I loved horses. She has all these fun things, and all the kids are running around doing all these fun things. I did have one brother had no injuries, but a week later he fell off a horse and broke his arm. So he was joined with the rest of the family.
Served him right, right?
That's right.
So you eventually obviously did get out of traction. You mentioned the ankle to hip cast. But after that, you started to run. Talk a little bit about how you got into running and why that was so appealing to you at the time.
Well, because I was denied that, you don't know how much something means to you till you lose it, right? And I'd always been an active child, but just not being able to walk. And so my leg was so weak when they took it off, I could hardly walk. And so I started doing, a little bit at a time, and much like Forrest Gump with his, like in that movie, the braces come off and he just never stopped because you were so grateful to be able to do that again, and I just started running, and I love to run. I just wanted to run. And so it's different than someone who has to go run, right? It was something I knew I never wanted to be without again. So I just started running, and I loved it. I competed junior high and junior Olympics, and into high school I ran sprints. I was a sprinter, so but it was one of those things I just loved to do. And so I just kept doing it. So that's why I loved running.
Oh, I think that's fantastic. So it sounds like you did have an opportunity not only to just run recreationally and for the love of it, but also to compete. Did you travel around as a competitor, or were most of your competitions local?
Well, I did a few things around the state of California. I ended up at Santa Monica High School, but I loved so many other sports that um, I started competing in volleyball, basketball. I did play some softball. I just loved any sport. So I didn't really focus enough to do really, really good at one because I just love doing everything else. So it's just kind of one of those things.
So you mentioned sprinting was kind of your specialty. Did you have a specific sprint that you really liked, or did you do all of them from 100 to 400?
Yeah, I loved relays. I ran the 100 meter, 200 meter, and I would do the 4x100 relays, and I loved relays. Those were really fun. I that was my love. I tried hurdles once, went over one the wrong way. You know how they don't fall when you go over the wrong way? Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson. I go, I don't like hurdles.
So you decided to stick with just the straight track in front of you with no
Yeah.
obstacles to jump over.
Do not take a hurdle backwards.
Did you carry the sprints with you into college as well? Were those your events at
Yes.
BYU?
Yes.
So
I went to BYU and ran the sprints plus relays. And then what was funny is my last collegiate race, someone got injured in the longer distance, the 2 mile relay. So that means you had to run 2 400s.
okay.
And the longest I'd ever run was a 400 meter, but they had me do that. So, of course, I took off like I was running a regular. By the time I got around the second time, I could hardly move. I couldn't talk. And they took off too soon, and I missed the handoff when we were DQ'd.
You couldn't
So
catch.
that's the memories I have. That's the memories I have in college for my last sprint. But, you know, that's I always loved relays. Always loved relays. So it's one of
Well, so sometimes you take one for the team, and it sounds like you did in that case. And there is definitely a strategy to, if you're used to running 100s and 200s, there's got to be a different approach to running an 800. And I feel like I would have done the same thing you did. It would have been very hard for me to hold back because you just run as fast as you can, right?
yeah.
Well, but you were kind of unique in that you were not a single sport athlete at the university level. You had the chance to play um, volleyball as well, and you competed in track. Did you also play basketball in college, or was that just high school?
That was just well, I played a lot of basketball at BYU, but I was not on the team. I would go play pickup games with the guys in the Smith Field House because they liked me to play because I could shoot threes from anywhere and I was fast. I wasn't a good defender, but I could shoot them, so they had let me play with the guys just the pickup games in the Smith Field House because I loved basketball so much. But I was on too many things and I was working, so I had no time for all of it. But I would still manage to squeeze in basketball.
Just for the love of the game. You were the recreational equivalent of Steph Curry, right? You could just take those long threes, drain them from anywhere. Very
Wheeler
popular.
Clark got it from me, right?
So tell us a little bit about the challenges of being a multi-sport athlete. And then you also mentioned that you worked during your college years. How did you juggle everything?
Well, I was one of eight, and there was no money. If I went to school, I did manage to get scholarships my freshman year to BYU, but I didn't. I had to pay. Then they didn't have. It was just for tuition. It wasn't. They didn't pay
Housing and food.
all the stuff they do now.
Yeah.
So we had to. I had to work part time, and I got a job. When I was talking to the admission advisor that came to our school, um, to go to BYU, I said, I want to go, but I have to have a job. And he goes, well, I'll hire you in the admissions department. You can be a secretary. Because I was a really good secretary. That's how I put myself through high school and everything. I worked for all sorts. I could do shorthand, typing. I was really good at being a secretary. So I got a job in the admissions office at BYU my freshman year. And it's funny because you had to wear a dress when you went to BYU to work on campus. And I would just wear jeans under a long skirt, and I would just take the skirt off when I go to class.
Yeah.
But I had to work, and then I worked for um, the health department in the Richards building for another year, and then I worked for Clarence Robinson, the one the track's named after today, the longtime track coach at BYU. I worked as his track secretary, and it was great because it was, because I was on the team, and then I'd be there, I'd be at the offices and do all that. So um, they had the NCAA tournament there. The year I was working for him, and it was I think it's 1974, was it, or 73? One of those. It was the NCAA championship in the Lavelle Edwards Stadium, and I was like assistant court clerk, and I was running all the events and doing all that stuff. It was really fun for all the men. It was really fun. But that's what I did. I had to put myself through college, and then you had to work and do it all and take 15 credit hours, And I was a business management major, so they weren't easy classes. So I was a busy girl.
It sounds like very busy, but also very dedicated. I can only imagine that some of the lessons that you learned in juggling all those responsibilities have translated into other areas in your life as you grew up and got married and had a family. I can't help but imagine that was a helpful training ground.
Yes, it's to know that you have to, and I teach all my kids, they all went into sports, but they all, to know that they had to get jobs too. They had to do these things. I mean, because if you don't learn hard work and you don't learn about these things when you're young, it will hang on for the rest of your life, because you can't always have things given to you. You have to work for everything. And that's what any sport, it's dedication, right? You have to do the training. You have to do the, all the things you need to do to be a good athlete. You can't just slide in and go, oh, I like this sport, I'm just going to, And I have to say, some of this NIL stuff that's going on, I think some of these athletes are just not going to learn.
Well, I think this is an experiment that we have not yet seen the end result of, for sure. But as you said, there are so many wonderfully important lessons that we can learn from sport, and there are other ways to learn the value of hard work. You can, accomplish that lesson in a lot of different ways, but sport is certainly a great way to do it. And sounds like you've definitely been able to do that in spades, to say the least. I want to transition a little bit now to tennis. So you played all these wonderful sports. You played basketball. You're obviously a runner in track. You got some volleyball under your belt. How did you transition to tennis? Were you playing in college, or was that something you picked up after?
Well, this is funny. My dad was a pro tennis player. Okay, so he played Wimbledon 5 times. He was a BYU. He won many conference titles. He was a very good tennis player, but it was like all of us considered it an old man's sport.
And nobody wants to do what their parents do, right?
So I didn't really appreciate tennis until I was married. I had a baby. I joined a club, the Ridge in Provo. It was, it's not there anymore, but it was the first tennis club they had in Utah County. And I joined that, and I picked it up, and I loved it. And it was so fun. And I kicked myself over and over that I didn't learn this as a young kid, because it's such a wonderful sport. And I just, and you know what, having the volleyball technique, a serve is very much like a spike and stuff. So I was able to pick up a lot of things, footwork, all that stuff that you do with volleyball. And so it was a good transition for me. My best friend, who was All-American at BYU, setter and everything, she was a tennis player. And after college, she and I would play tournaments together and beat everybody. And they would try to, lob us or something. And we both had such overheads. And it was so fun playing together, because it was a natural sport you could transition to after what we had done in college. But I loved tennis. Like I said, 45 years, went to nationals several times. we won Utah, we'd go to regionals, we'd go to nationals. Our team was really good. And one favorite story is we went to nationals in Kona in Hawaii, and we're there as a team, and they have an earthquake. I mean, the whole thing is shit. I mean, they were screaming, but I had been in an earthquake when I was 16 in Granada Hills, California, and my house got wrecked that day. My house got wrecked that day, and I was like, when they were swaying, I go, "Oh, this is a new building. It's earthquake proof. We'll be fine." And they're all like, "How can you be so calm?" And I'm like, "It's this swaying," and they're screaming. It was pretty funny, but that was one of our fun experiences at nationals one year.
Well, it sounds like tennis really allowed a number of things for you. You were able to stay active. You were able to stay engaged in a really tight-knit, fun community. You were able to maintain a great relationship with your college friend, which I think is awesome. And as you said, you played it for 40, 45 years. How did you keep your body firing on all pistons and able to play this sport for so long?
Well, I got lucky. My dad, as I told you, was a pro tennis player. When we lived in Santa Monica, he was best friends with Jack LaLanne. I don't know if you know who he is.
I know who Jack
The
LaLanne is, of
original
course.
guy who started all the gyms and the whole fitness thing, right? Well, my dad was really good friends with him. We went to dinner with him one time, and he also invited Tarzan, who at the time was Johnny Weissmuller, who he had trained to look fit and everything because he had to be half naked most of the time in those movies. But he taught my dad about nutrition and working out and doing all this stuff. And so at a very young age, we learned about nutrition. We learned about exercise. We learned about don't put junk in your body. Don't do pop. Don't do white sugar. Don't do white. We were so into nutrition as a very young, and I really think it has a lot to do with your health. If you're not healthy, then no matter how much you exercise, if you're still putting crap in your body, you're going to be, so that's been my passion for the last 40 years is being involved in nutritional things. And that's just what I do. I'm kind of a life coach, health coach with people. And so it's kind of fun because I know at my age, there's no way I would look back and I go, wait, I look at people my age and I go, wait, were they the same age,
Yeah.
but they might have smoked or drank or alcohol, all this stuff their whole life. They're not fit, right? And so I just appreciate that my dad and my parents taught me that at a very young age, that if you want to perform, you can't do this stuff. You have to really take responsibility for your health. Don't rely on drugs. Don't rely on this or that. You have to be in charge. And if you want your body to perform, you gotta do it. You gotta pay the price. And so that's what I really appreciate that my parents at so long ago in the 70s, they were with Jack LaLanne. That was
It sounds like great advice. And let's be honest, I think we all know that, right? Like it's not a surprise to know that, a 6-pack of Coke a day is probably not good for you, hyper processed foods. I think we all know the general idea is sound. We know that. But the hard part sometimes is doing it. And it sounds like you've definitely been able to take that great.
well, it's the consistency. It's the consistency. Even if people go, oh, I only do one Diet Coke a day or something like that, or I only drink one thing of wine, or I only do one. It's that consistent. You're constantly. If you want to be healthy, you got to do the reverse. Consistently putting good things in your body. Consistently do those things that you're going to. Then it pays off when you're older. I mean, my mom's 95, and she's just no meds.
Right.
Because she learned these things a long time ago, So
Again, I think such great advice. Talk about pickleball. You transitioned from tennis to pickleball. A lot of people make that transition. Was it easy? Was it?
So I was a tennis snob for sure. There's no way. I used to run the regional church sports stuff here up in Salt Lake, and they introduced us to pickleball like 10, 12 years ago. I mean,
When people started knowing what it was, right?
oh, we just go, what? This is so dorky. Like it was in a gym, the little thing, and I was like, and there was no way. I was like, this is so stupid because you're just used to the ball being, tennis and all that. And so anyway, I broke my arm in 2017 playing tennis, of course, and I when I got healed, I couldn't, the torque of because I injured it at my elbow. So the torque of the tennis racket was hard on it. So I wanted to keep doing something. So they had started this pickleball thing in our stake. And so I started playing with people, and then I just loved it. Like, loved it. And then I got addicted. And then I just, yeah, seriously, in the last, 8 years, I think I've played tennis twice. And that's after playing for 45 years. But I think I love it because you get more rally, you hits per rally, and you don't spend a lot of time chasing the ball. It's more like you're there. And then the other thing I like about it is, people have a lot more fun. They're playing music. It's not this, you can't talk, tennis.
It's a much more open and social
Social.
experience.
It's so fun, and everybody's so relaxed and more fun. And the very first time you try pickleball, you'll have fun. Anybody can play it because it's underhand serve. You don't have to, like tennis, you have to learn how to serve. You got to learn how to hit a forehand. It takes a lot of work, right? And pickleball, very first time you try it, you can have fun. And for me, it was like an easy transition because I'll never be as good as I once was in tennis,
Yeah.
but I can hold my own in pickleball, and it's so fun because at most people my age, they're all thinking, I'm too old for that. No, I get out there and I go, I'm going to beat these guys. I mean, they might be 40 years younger than me, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I just think it's fun because you can be competitive, and it's all more about the smarts and the brains and what type of shot to hit and all this stuff. And if you've been an athlete, it's an easy transition. But I tell you, that's why there's such an amount of people playing it in this country today. It's now surpassed tennis participation, I heard. So
I was going to say, you're not alone in your love of the sport for sure. A lot of people have adopted it, adapted it, and there's just something great about the sport of pickleball. It's just a wonderful way to spend time with friends and keep yourself active and engaged. It's awesome. We've only got about a minute and a half left, but I'm wondering if you would tell us about your Huntsman World Senior Games experience. You've competed in multiple sports here. What's it like?
Well, the first time somebody invited me to play in tennis with them, and I went and played tennis the first time, and I kicked myself over. I did start right when I turned 50 because I missed out on all those years. Because we had so much fun. We got a gold medal. So then I had another friend call me and say, we're trying to put together a senior basketball, team. And I go, yeah, I want to play. And so we'd meet at Skyline High School in Salt Lake and practice. And they were all former collegiate basketball players. I'm the only one who didn't play collegiate basketball, but they were all coaches, they're so good. All of them were so fun. And one of them was Deb Bennett, who I knew, at BYU, years and years ago. So it was fun to be together with it. And we go and play, and we play teams from Latvia. We played teams from Chicago and all over the place. It was so fun. Like I tell you, and it's only half court. So it was just so much fun. So I did tennis the first week, and then I do basketball the second week. And then when I broke my arm and I switched out, I started doing, well, then I added pickleball and I still was playing basketball and tennis. So I was playing 2 weeks there. And it was literally funny because I'd be throwing off my tennis skirt and putting on my basketball shorts in the car to race because they were all conflicting at the same time. But then I started playing pickleball too, and I just love it. I played 3 sports for a number of years there, so it was.
Well, you have definitely shown that you have what it takes to be a multi-sport athlete, regardless of the setting. Margie, thank you so much, not only for joining us today, which we're grateful for, but for your participation and your love and passion of the games and just of sport in general. I think you're a great example, and I can just imagine the impact that you have on the people that you coach. And we want to wish you the very best. And we look forward to seeing you here for many Octobers to come.
Yes, I love the Huntsman Senior Games. Everybody needs to go.
Thank you so much. Again, we wish you the very best.
Thank you. Thanks, Kyle.
Just a couple of things to wrap us up here. It seems like the games were just yesterday, and in some ways they just barely ended, but we are well on our way to preparing for next year's event. If you want to plan ahead like we are doing, team registration opens on January 1st of 2026. The Huntsman World Senior Games is going to run from October 5th through the 17th of 2026. We want you to put that on your calendar, and remember that individual registration starts on March 1st. Next week's guest, Vera Ku, is a first-generation Chinese-American woman, author, entrepreneur, and retired professional athlete who became a groundbreaking champion in action pistol shooting, winning national and world titles, including 8 Bianchi Cup Women's Championships. We're going to visit with her next week. Remember to tune in live next and every Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time on AM 1450 or FM 93.1 for the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life. We take this live show and turn it into a podcast, and you can subscribe anywhere that your favorite podcasts are found. You can also find this and previous shows on our website at seniorgames.net. Today's inspirational thought, I like this one. When someone says you can't do it twice and take pictures. Until next Thursday, stay active.